What is going on, guys? Welcome to another Bucketology video. Today we're going to be talking about Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Gotta give credit where credit is due. I think we've seen a lot of exciting new faces and new places this year, especially DeJounte Murray, Rudy Gobert, some other guys under the radar, like even Bojan Bogdanovic. Can't believe he got a mention in this video, by the way, but Mitchell's former Jazz teammate has been lighting it up in Detroit. But essentially, it's about the guy who's been better than any other new acquisition in this 2022-23 season. Honestly, one of the best players in the league so far. I will say solidly the best guard in the Eastern Conference early in this season. What he's been doing with the Cleveland Cavaliers early in this season has been nothing short of spectacular. Yes, I know they haven't played a lot of great teams, but man, Darius Garland goes down first game of the season, and you have a lot of questions to answer once that happens, because last year Darius Garland was the engine. He was the offense unto himself. Scoring, facilitating, the usage was through the roof, and he could do it all. He could handle that burden because he is such an incredible facilitator, high IQ player. Passing ability is up there with the best in the NBA right now. So once he goes out, this is why you acquire a Donovan Mitchell, but it's all on his shoulders. You are searching, clawing for any other help that you can imagine for him, because he has had to do it all, playing 39 minutes per game so far in this season, a few overtime games as well, and delivering. They lose that first initial game where Garland goes out. Makes a ton of sense. You're in Toronto, first time you ever played with each other. Donovan Mitchell's got to carry the load, and he had a great game in this game, but it was really close. They couldn't get it done. Toronto is a scrappy, defensive-minded, hard-playing team that is tough to beat in their building, especially when you're at a disadvantage like this. It only makes sense they lose a game like this, but they come back, they win 5 in a row, all by at least 9 points. Now, 2 of these games were in overtime, but that first overtime game was against the Wizards. It was coming off a back-to-back. Donovan Mitchell had some tough moments down the stretch of this game, a few back-to-back turnovers, having trouble bringing the ball up the court, but he ends up with like 37 points, and they took flight in overtime in this game. They won by 10, and they won by 9 in the overtime game against Boston the other night. Come out, whoop the Knicks last night with some monster offensive performances, not just from Spider Mitchell, but Kevin Love, Dean Wade with 6 threes, and a game against Orlando where Mitchell had a stinker of a shooting display. Didn't matter, still making the right plays even if his shot is off. They win this game pretty comfortably in a game that was more defensive driven. Didn't really matter that he had such a stinker game. He was able to be a facilitator, and he's been playing that point guard position. He's looked phenomenal doing it. And the Cavs 5-0 since that first game where Garland goes down. 5-1. They sit at second in the Eastern Conference, a team that you would expect to lose some games without a star player like Garland, and yet they have absolutely delivered. They play Boston at home in their next game. I believe it is on Wednesday. I don't know if Darius Garland will be back for that game, but he should be back soon. And now we have to look at the Cavs in a little bit of a different way, because even though we all know how great of a player Donovan Mitchell is, I don't think we expected fireworks to the degree that we have seen them so far this year. Not only is Darius Garland out, Ricky Rubio, who this team will rely on to be one of their main ball handlers in a bench unit, hasn't been playing. So when Donovan Mitchell goes off the court, you got guys like Cedi Osman, Caris LeVert, Raul Neto, maybe handling the ball, running plays. I mean, when it comes to shot creation, Donovan Mitchell has been pretty much the only guy aside from your occasional Caris LeVert explosion. And Caris LeVert has always been a capable ball handler. He's always been a capable scorer and creator. He has the moves and the quickness and the arsenal, I would say, but the consistency has always been like this. I don't think did he make more than one shot last game? He shot like 1 for 10 or something insanely bad last night after being the man in Boston, a place where he just loves to play. If he was on the Celtics, he would probably be an all-star type player, because something happens to this guy when he gets into the Garden. I don't really know what it is. Caris LeVert is shooting just 33% from the field, but 48.5% from 3. Just goes to show it's really hard to predict what Caris LeVert you're going to see night in, night out. And this brings me to the biggest question that the Cleveland Cavaliers have. I previewed this team a little bit during the offseason after they acquired Mitchell. I talked a lot about Evan Mobley and the potential. There was so much hype around this guy in the offseason. I remember when we saw those GM lists come out. Oh, I would rather have Evan Mobley on my team than Trae Young going forward and some nonsense like that. And I can understand where you're coming from. I do think defense is undervalued by the casual fan, and those are the type of people that would probably get the most up in arms about a list like that. Evan Mobley has potential to be a defensive player of the year type guy, but to be a superstar, to be on that level, he's going to have to take a step forward in the scoring department, and he really hasn't done that. His usage has gone up. They need to rely on him more because Darius Garland is out. They need more guys to create shots, and Evan Mobley is still at the exact three-point percentage that he was at last year on very low volume. Like, he's 2 for 8 from 3 this season, and he's played over 200 minutes. So he's making less than 1 3 per 100 minutes that he's on the court. So he's really not a threat at all from deep range. I talked about this team. If they want to win a championship, whether it's this year, next year, the year after, Evan Mobley needs to have a three-point shot of some caliber where a team might have to respect him a little bit, because Jarrett Allen is not going to scare teams himself. If you have both those guys on the court, yeah, your defense is probably going to be amazing, but when it gets down to it, it's just going to be way easier to guard these like walking bucket guys like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. If you have those two guys, you just can help way more, which is why the emergence of a guy like Caris LeVert is so important, because as great as Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are when it comes to creating shots for themselves and others, they're going to need more than two guys that are able to do that. You just need a full team of guys that teams have to guard. If you only have two players that other teams have to respect as scorers, you're just not going to make it all the way. It's just the reality of the situation. Caris LeVert is incredibly inconsistent. He's going to have a role in this team. He's probably going to have to play a lot just because of that fact. You got to have at least two guys on the court at all times that could get a bucket. But that three position is also a problem for the Cleveland Cavaliers because they don't have a shutdown perimeter guy. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, as great as they are on the offensive end, they are going to be the targets when they play other great teams. Whoever the other team's guards are going to go at them all game, and you will have that great support back there in the paint. But you give teams chances to create good offensive looks if you have these guys doing everything on offense, no matter how good of defenders they might be, or even if they are underrated on defense. Donovan Mitchell, I think in a situation he could stick good defense, but if he has to do everything on offense, you're just not going to get that same level of effort on the defensive end, which is why it was so important for a guy like Isaac Okoro to be a reliable three-point shooter. Well, guess what? He has not made one three-pointer this year, so that's already a problem. They've already scratched him out of the starting lineup. He's in a bench role now, and his minutes are dwindling. You're seeing a lot more Dean Wade, and of course Caris LeVert, Cedi Osman even. So these are all just role guys that can step up maybe on an occasion, but are they reliable to deliver? That is the question. Kevin Love is probably the most reliable, which is why the Cavs might have to resort to the ultra big lineup that features their 5 best players, or 5 most reliable players, if you will, with Donovan Mitchell and Garland in the backcourt, and then like Mobley at the 3, Love and Allen. Yeah, it would look super weird. It would be slow, and it might take them a while to get used to it, but I do think they should start experimenting with this lineup once Garland comes back, because it might end up being their best shot at winning playoff games once that time comes. Kevin Love is the veteran. He's experienced. He can shoot the shit out the ball, 47% from 3, 8 of them last night. So that would get your best, most effective, most reliable players on the court at the same time. Caris LeVert also, of course, is going to get time on the floor. He's been playing 35 minutes a game. Obviously, his presence is key without Darius Garland, but the Cavs still have some questions. They look great, but they still have some questions for sure, because Isaac Okoro was supposed to be an incredibly important player for them, and he has just been, less than 2 points per game. Absolute disgrace in the offensive end. However good he can stick defense, he's getting the Matisse Thybulle treatment. The last thing I will say is the fit with Garland and Mitchell is not something we've really seen. Two guys that seem intent on making it work with each other. I do trust that they'll be able to figure it out. I do think they'll like playing with each other because it means they don't have to do everything on the offensive end. As much as Donovan Mitchell has been enjoying playing against some of these teams and being able to run up 30 points every single night, throughout the year it's going to get to a point where he just needs another guy that he can let cook while he gets some rest and can play better defense and can focus on other aspects of the game and not have to do literally everything on the offensive end for this team, because like I've been saying, Caris LeVert is just not a guarantee to show up on any given night. And so it will be interesting to see how Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell play together on the offensive end and the defensive end, because teams will be going at them every time. That is the key to breaking down a defense like this that has such great rim protectors and just general amazing defensive players at the 4 and the 5. So we're going to see how this all works. Cavs definitely a team to keep an eye on, but so far exceeding expectations without one of their star players, a guy that I think is incredibly valuable for them, will only help them win more games once he returns to the lineup. Cavs, are they a championship contender? Let me know what you guys think about them in the comments below, and I'm out. This has been Bucketology. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video.